SRI's investigation of Uri Geller was initially all about testing his electromagnetics, nothing to do with psychic remote viewing. But his arrival at SRI soon changed the entire dynamic for Targ and Puthoff and the CIA supervisor monitoring their secret research contract, Kit Green.
In a very short period of time, a week or 10 days, I got a phone call at headquarters. It was the chief scientist of the laboratory at Stanford Research Institute, and he was talking about other aspects of Uri Geller's capabilities. And I, of course, said, well, what other kinds of things are you talking about? And without much of a pause, the scientist said, well, he says he can see things at a distance. And I said, no, he can't. And they said, yes, he can. I said, no, he can't. And they said, well, he's right here. Say hi to Uri Geller. I said, hi, Uri. And a voice in the background said, hi, Kit. And I said, well, what can you see?
Now, this wasn't on Skype, was it?
No. I was on a telephone, a black. I mean, this is early 70s, before Skype and before cell phones and all that.
He said, okay, I'm sitting at my desk at CIA at Langley, Virginia. I will put something on my desk and let's see if Uri can get it.
I turned, just as I will do now, and I picked up a book, which is the same book that I had on my desk at the time of this phone call many, many years ago. This book is a collection of medical illustrations of the nervous system. And I had it on my desk at the headquarters building because I was using it for part of my work. And I opened it up to a page and I just stared at it. And he said, well, seeing something kind of strange.
So he sat there and he scribbled on paper and crumpled up and threw it away, scribbled some more, threw it away. Finally scribbled something down and says, well, I don't know what to think. It looks like I have made a drawing of a pan of scrambled eggs. And yet I have the word architecture coming in strong. So what he handed us was a sheet of paper that had this scrambled eggs look and the word architecture written across the top.
I later got a copy of that drawing, and I was astonished to find that what he had drawn maybe does look like scrambled eggs, but it was a cross-section of the human brain, a sagittal section from the side of the human brain. But the thing that caught my attention was he had written across the top of his drawing the word architecture. Architecture. I had written in my handwriting the word architecture of viral infection. I was looking at the biological warfare effect on the nervous system of a threat virus. And I'd written on my notes, book, architecture of a viral infection.
We then, or he then, they did tremendous analysis to see is there any chance that there were any cues over the telephone lines and so on. That was a genuine result. And there were others like that we did that we've never published, but certainly convinced us that he has ability.
Why didn't you publish things like that? Is it because that wasn't replicable?
Well, at the time, it was just kind of a one-off thing, but it was primarily because of direct CIA involvement, and that couldn't be admitted till 1995.
So what did you do next?
Oh, I went and authorized the expenditure of sufficient funds to ask the people doing the research to expand the experimentation under the construct of remote viewing.
This film describes a 5-week investigation conducted at Stanford Research Institute with Uri Geller. 15 drawings were placed in double-sealed envelopes in a safe for which none of the experimenters had the combination. This is Geller's representation of what he believed was sealed in the envelope. At no time during these experiments did he have any advanced knowledge of the target material. In fact, this is the most off-target of the drawings that he did. Here, the experiment is repeated, this time with Puthoff as a sender, just to check that the identity of the sender is of no significance in the experiment. This is the drawing that Geller has made to correspond to the target object. The rectangle on the clipboard represents the TV screen in Geller's mind on which he claims to project the image he is trying to draw. As you can see, he is quite elated about getting the right answer. Here in the laboratory notebook, on the left side of the page, you see the original targets, and on the right, Geller's responses. This is not a collection of correct answers out of a long series of correct and incorrect responses. This is actually the total run of pictures in a series. It is interesting that there is often a mirror symmetry. This type of communication experiment was repeated many other times during the 5 weeks, with Geller choosing to pass about 20% of the time. In this particular case, the target is a 3/4-inch steel ball. Geller's task now is to determine which of these 10 cans holds the steel ball bearing. The experimental protocol is for the experimenter to remove the cans one at a time in response to Geller's instructions as he points or calls out a can top number. He has made his choice. The steel ball is found. On the other 12 targets, he did make a guess and was correct in every instance. The whole array of this run had an a priori probability of 1,000,000,000 to 1. Here's another double-blind experiment in which a die is placed in a metal box. This is a live experiment that you see. The box is shaken up. In this case, Geller guessed that a 4 was showing. You will note that he was correct, and he was quite pleased to have guessed correctly. Out of 10 tries in which he passed twice and guessed 8 times, the 8 guesses were correct, and that gave us a probability of about 1 in 1,000,000. We would point out again there were no errors in the times he made a guess.
Now, behind the scenes, of course, we were approached by Israeli intelligence, and they had been working with Geller in Israel, but they had only been doing operational things. They had not had any chance to do anything scientific, and so they asked us if we would be willing to, share with them whatever we found out in a scientific venue. Well, that wasn't my call, so that was up to the CIA if they wanted to do that. But
now, Hal Puthoff said that Israeli intelligence officers came to visit him, asking if he would provide them the same information he was providing CIA. Are you aware of this? That's definitely what Hal said.
Yeah, I have to just think how to say what I will say. I'm aware that my work there at SRI and other places was constantly monitored by Israeli sources. I'm aware of that. I'm also aware of a rumor that said that while I was at SRI, the CIA suspected that I was acting as a double agent.
our CIA contract monitor, who was concerned, as we were maybe this guy is not really psychic or whatever. Maybe it's just Israeli intelligence has them all biologically implemented with who knows what devices, and maybe there are all kinds of efforts going on behind the scenes with secret microphones and secret pickups and so on to try to make him look like he was psychic in order to scare the potential enemies over there that there was this magical guy. Truth of the matter is, we were very worried about that. And, every night when the end of the day came, we would be tearing out the tiles in the laboratory to see if there were hidden microphones and all kinds of things.
What we've demonstrated here are the experiments that we performed in the laboratory. This film gives us the opportunity to share with the viewer observations of phenomena that, in our estimation, clearly deserve further study.
Did you report on your work with Geller to the CIA?
We sent a formal report to the CIA with the Geller data in it. I might even have a copy of such a report here that I could show you. Perhaps I won't do that. I can say, yes, we did. We did report to the CIA in a formal SRI report.
So it started with pretty small funding as a small thing?
Yeah, I think my first project was $56K.
And how much?
$56,000.
How much do you think it all added up to over the years?
Over the years, maybe $20 million or so. I mean, we ended up having several dozen remote viewers, large catch of people.
We were supported by the CIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, Army Intelligence, NASA, and you see, I'm able to tell you that only because the program has been declassified, or I'd have to kill you all as soon as I announced who is paying for the program.
So SRI's remote viewing program expanded to training dozens of remote viewers while spreading across many government agencies. Meanwhile, Uri Geller took a different path. With the SRI findings as his calling card, he took his show on the road as a psychic entertainer, and in New York, his first American talk show appearances made him instantly famous across the U.S.
The Stanford Research Institute came up with an almost unanimous opinion that he was legitimate. Uri Geller.
Then Uri moved to London, where his very first British television performance caused a sensation.
Ladies and gentlemen, Uri Geller.
I don't want to waste a lot of time on it. It could be a boat, a ship.
Geller seemed to be demonstrating extraordinary paranormal powers.
It's very...
And overnight became headline news. Britain was entranced by this psychic performer, and he joined the ranks of the superstars of the day. And now the world came calling.